Tennessee wide receiver group this season. And, I might be saying this wrong, or I might just be completely wrong in my thought process. But in my opinion, this group right here has the biggest gap from top to bottom. And what I mean by that is this can either be the best position group that Tennessee has on the team this year, or they could be the worst. There's so many unknowns especially because of the production from last year's squad. Last year's squad, because of the depth and the people in the room, they were expected to be one of the best wide receiver cores in the SEC coming into the season, and they just fell flat. Whether it be from the wide receivers themselves, from the quarterback, any number of things. Coming into this year, there's a lot of talent. Most of it is young talent, but I think it's talent. I think it's talent that can be far and away better from anything that we expected last year, but also it can take even a step back from last year's squad. Am I wrong in saying that?
I'm going to stick to my guns and say it ever since January, really. I think you're going to see a lot of names that you're not familiar with if you're a fan that's not really plugged in recruiting this year at the wide receiver position. I still think the production is going to be a lot better. I do. And
I think it will too.
And that's not even just a dig at Nico. I think because of the talent, even though it's inexperienced talent, I think because of the talent, you're going to see our wide receivers just win a lot more ones and catch the ball. I mean, for goodness sake, I'm sitting here watching some of the older games. I think it was Florida, maybe even Alabama, and I'm going to call him out, but Squirrel White, I mean, several wide open balls that I know he was battling shoulder injury and whatnot, but like, dude, just catch the ball. Like, holy moly, going straight through your hands. Chris Brazzell, I mean, several drops. Chaz Nimrod, drops. Chaz was weird, man. He'd catch some balls that you're like, how in the world did he catch that? And then some that would hit him right in the chest and he'd drop it. So, kind of like a Ramel Keaton-ish type of wide receiver where you just got a lot of inconsistency out of him. I think this year you're going to have that consistency out of wide receiver room. I'm excited to see it. And like I said, the only two names that you might even be familiar with is going to be Chris Brazzell and Mike Matthews, right?
Which, by the way, Chris Brazzell right now is injured. He's not even practicing right now. He's dealing with an injury. So that leads the way for some other names, but you're 100% right. The names that most people might be familiar with is Mike Matthews, and it is Chris Brazzell. Now, I think that Mike Matthews is going to have a year where he's going to step up this year, and he's going to have himself a fantastic year. But let me tell you who is somebody that I am super, super excited about coming into this season.
Who is it, big dog?
It's Braylon Staley. Braylon Staley was a guy that a lot of people wanted to see hit the field last year, and for whatever reason, he didn't get to see the field as much, whether it be because of his inexperience, because of the guys that were in front of him. He just couldn't quite hit that next level of the depth chart to see the field. But I'm super excited about Braylon Staley this year, and I think he's going to have himself a fantastic season at wide receiver this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Another guy who's kind of been battling injury, but the transfer from Alabama, Amari Jefferson. Yeah. If he can stay healthy, find some consistency, he's only a redshirt freshman, but he kind of feels like a veteran of the room. I know that sounds wild, but guys, that's just how young the room is this year. So Amari Jefferson is going to be another guy to keep an eye out on for a guy who is a second-year guy. Again, like I said, a transfer from Alabama, a guy that you were kind of neck and neck with Alabama in the recruitment trail. He went to Alabama his first year, and I don't know if did he decommit or did he go to Alabama for a year and then he transferred to Tennessee after a year, didn't he?
Yeah, he was at Alabama for a year. I think he got a little bit of playing time, but not a lot. And
he committed in December. It feels like he's been on the team a lot longer than he has. But this year you're going to see Amari Jefferson.
But this is a guy that he's from Chattanooga. He went to Baylor School in Chattanooga, so he's a Tennessee kid. And if I'm not mistaken, it came down to Tennessee and Alabama, and he originally chose Alabama, went there for a year, and then that's whenever he transferred to Tennessee.
Yep. Injured his hip. He ended up redshirting there at Alabama, transferred over, and then but I mean, I'm going to pivot back to you, Michael, on this. I want to see who you go after next, because this is just how thin the room is at wide receiver this year. Other than freshmen that we are very high on, by the way, and we're going to talk about them, Who is the next veteran guy that you think would actually have an impact on the wide receiver room this year?
I mean, one doesn't just completely stand out to me. You do have, and really, he's new to the room itself. You've got Dion Harden, the transfer from JUCO. He's a 6 foot,
Yep.
178 pound junior. You might see him in there, but you know what? I haven't heard a whole lot from him. Um, but other than that, there's not really a quote veteran guy that really stands out to me. Everybody else is freshmen. And when I say freshman, I mean true freshman. And while I've got the floor here, I'm going to throw out the one that I am the most excited about. And I might be taking your name here, but Rodarius Jackson.
Yeah.
The true freshman from Memphis, Tennessee. He's a 6'2", 210-pound wide receiver. He has been showing up and showing out every single day of practice, showed up in the spring game, excited a lot of people. I'm super excited about this guy, and he's definitely going to see the field this year.
Yeah, Rodarius Jackson's already making highlights on the practice field. I'll tell you another one, though.
I
And
know where you're
probably
going with it.
I mean, you know who it is. It's Travis Smith
Yeah.
Jr. His name even sounds like a guy that that needs to be a 5-star Heisman contending wide receiver. Blitnikoff at least. Travis Smith is a guy, as a freshman, he's 6'3", 207-pound freshman. What a freak of an athlete to be a freshman in college and be 6'2", 210, basically. As a wide receiver, really good speed. If his hands can come around and he can grasp this offense, Travis Smith will be on the field a lot, especially pending. You know how the wide receiver room is, man. And I hate to just kind of put that negative juice on it, but you're gonna have injuries in that room. It's part of it. It's part of the game. So you're gonna have to build up this depth in this wide receiver room really quickly, because I believe we've only really mentioned 6 players, and three of them are freshmen or redshirt freshmen.
Yeah.
4 of them, maybe, actually. 2, yeah, there's 2 redshirt freshmen and 2 true freshmen. So, I mean, gonna have to, young guys ain't got time to be young, right? Like that's part of it, and gonna have to see something out of that. There's a third, I think, freshman that we haven't mentioned yet that I think is turning heads. Do you want to have the honors on that third one?
It's got to be Joakim Dotson, does it not?
It absolutely is.
Another Memphis kid. This guy is probably going to be battling for that slot position, and he's a talented kid as well from the Baylor School in Memphis. I'm really excited about all these guys, but the biggest thing about this room, we've already said it. There's a whole lot of talent there. There's not a lot of experience, and that's why I feel like it's got the biggest gap of they can be really talented. They can really show up this year and be super productive, but they can also be on the other side of the spectrum. And it could honestly, just being real here, they could be worse than last year's group as far as production goes. I don't think that's going to happen. I tend to think that they're going to be really good production wise this year, but that's why I say this is the biggest gap overall for a position group for Tennessee this year.
I don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be worse in production, but I think you could see a lot of 2 tight end personnel, where you have just 2 receivers, 2 tight ends, and a running back, and that's how you run your offense. Because I could see Ethan Davis taking a step, and then Miles Kitselman as well. And Ethan Davis is a great receiving tight end, anyways. So Miles Kitselman, you've seen flashes of him being able to do the same thing too. So if you don't see that production out of your wide receiver room, or you don't see those guys grasping the offense so quickly, it's not going to be out of the realm of possibility to see Tennessee running a lot of 2 tight ends, which I think helps the running game, though, honestly. If you can get your tight ends in the passing game, that's a plus. But Deshaun Bishop, we'll talk about the running backs down the road, but I mean, that 3-headed monster that we all know and talk about, if they could have 2 tight ends in the game and it not be like an obvious running situation, it could be dangerous for that running back room. I think they would love that. But yeah, man, wide receiver room, really shallow, but I do think the talent there is better than probably we've had ever as a whole. Yeah, and I hate to say it like that, because that kind of sounds like I'm throwing shade at some other wide receivers, and I'm not. It's just, man, they're a young room, but I'm telling you that And these guys are high 4-star, low 5-star, or not low 5-star, but 5-star, high 4-star type guys. I mean, Mike Matthews, I think, like you said, is primed to have a big year. If Chris Brazzell can get healthy, Braylon Staley, I do think that's your three-headed monster. But then you go from there. You got Amari Jefferson, and then you got your three freshmen, and then you do have the transfer of Deion Harden. Like, I guess when you look at it like that, and you're only running 2 to 3 wide receivers at a time, you do have the depth there. You have a comfortable two-man rotation at every single spot. But overall, man, you're just gonna have to rely on as every group, gonna have to rely on health.
Here's my thing that I need to see from the wide receiver group this year is I need to see guys that they're not just there to play one position. How many times in the last couple of years have we seen wide receivers that their backup is somebody that can only play the Z wide receiver or they can only play slot wide receiver?
I
We
mean,
need
just look
guys
at
that
it
can go
when
out and they know how to play each and every single wide receiver position group that's there. That way, your most talented guy can be that next guy that comes in instead of, and I'm not throwing shade at this guy by no means, but Mike Matthews has got more talent than Chaz Nimrod. He should have come in different situations instead of Chaz Nimrod, but because Nimrod knew this position and Mike Matthews didn't know it that well, Nimrod was the one that we saw on the field instead of Matthews. So I want to see wide receivers that can play multiple positions in the wide receiver group. So your most talented guys are on the field and not just the next guy up in this depth piece.
I agree, and that comes in the film room. That comes putting pen to paper and learning the offense. I mean, look at when you're open to being versatile. One, it helps your chances on getting on the field regardless, and that's no matter what position you play, offense, defense, doesn't matter. If you know what everybody else is doing on the field and on any given play, you prove to yourself and the coaches that you grasp and understand the concepts. And so, look at Jalen Hyatt, man. When he played outside, production wasn't that great. But when he moved to slot, my God. And not every player is going to be able to move to slot and do that. But just being versatile enough and knowing the offense enough to be able to make a change like that for the betterment of the team and yourself. And like the secondary, the safeties know exactly what the cornerbacks are doing. Cornerbacks know exactly what the safeties are doing, nickel, whatever, you name it. And when they understand that, and they know like where somebody's supposed to, and you're going to see it. I think because the youth in the team, you're going to see early on against Syracuse players lining up other players on the defense, and that's when you know that a player gets it. That's when you see that leadership come out in full force. And yeah, I just think it's a no-brainer on just knowing not just your job. I know in football that gets said all the time by the coaches is just do your job, but like at the end of the day, you need to do your job and know exactly what your teammate's supposed to be doing too. That way you can pick him up if he does make a mistake. So. No, this wide receiver room, I still think I'm expecting big things of them. But you're right. I mean, one swift move here or there, or injury here or there, or maybe just falling short of expectation here and there, this room could get kind of messy quick. But I still think it'd be for the good, because even if you have that fallout of production, maybe Mike Matthews is like average, but like nobody else. I think it's going to help this coaching staff get those freshmen in the game and then help them in the recruiting trail with maybe flipping a guy like Tristan Keys or bringing in whoever. I mean, I just think that's going to help them that much more, knowing that they have a chance to play right out the gate.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And then last thing on this wide receiver group before we move on in the show, I've got to ask the question to see where your thoughts are on it. So the big thing in the offseason, the reason that Boo originally entered his name into the transfer portal is because he wanted to play both sides of the ball. With all of this stuff that has happened over the last couple of weeks, what is the status of what do you think the status of Boo playing offense this year is going to be? Obviously, we don't know. We're not insiders. But
Well,
what
no,
do you
but
think?
I'll give you my honest answer. Boo's not even on defense right now, so he needs to lock in and get back on the team before he even worries about being on the wide receiver room. Like, God honest truth. And I think come game one, he'll be back on the defense. But as far as offensive talks go, he needs to worry about getting back on the field first and then locking in. And I think he'll get there. But Gator Truth on YouTube, man, go Gators, whatever. Get out of here. But we appreciate you spending your time right here with us. And we love knowing that we're just in your mind all the time, dude. Like rent free.
Hey,
No, I'm
Daniel,
joking.
stick around for just a little bit. We're about to do our predictions for Florida. So,
No, so I do have word that DJ Lagway is in a boot.
yep.
That ain't good. That's no bueno. Billy's job is hindering on that guy. Maybe that's why he's in a boot. Billy's like, you need to get healthy. But no, man. All right, so we're wrapping up the wide receiver room here. Those are the names you need to get to know, and names you will know come football season, as they're going to be making plays out there on the gridiron. And Michael, I guess it's about that time. Are we doing Florida first?
Yeah, we're doing Florida first. We got Daniel in here. He
He says he's
says
out of the
that,
boot now. That's
yeah,
great
he's
news.
out of the boot now. That is good news.
That's great news.
I'm assuming they're probably going to be kind of keeping him on a shorter leash, a lot more non-contact stuff. I mean, it's already supposed to be non-contact for quarterbacks, but especially now, probably going to take it a little bit easier, make sure that it gets healed up in time for game one.
I
But yeah,
never wish injury on any player in the world.
absolutely not.
But I'm not rooting for Billy Napier either. So
That's fair.